But before I do, I just want to say one more time, hit that like button, family. Hit that subscribe button, family. Hit all the buttons. If you just joining, hit the city, hit the state, hit the country. Let people know where you're writing in from. You watching Night School. We've been talking about a range of things. I'm having fun with y'all tonight, man. I feel more like a professor tonight. Does that make sense? Like I feel like I'm talking. I'm yapping just a little bit more than normal. But it's important to me sometimes to feel like I'm doing my professor. I'm in my professor bag. You dig me? And not just my news anchor bag. I got a news anchor bag. I got a professor bag too. I like both of them, man. So we got to do a little bit of each at various times and at various stages. It's just it's the work. Anyway, so we were just talking about the debates. We were just talking about the battles, that are going to be in front of us. But it's also important for us as we talk about these issues to talk about Kamala Harris as the campaigner, not as the vice president, not as the responder, not as the debate applicant. Let's talk about Kamala Harris as candidate. And I'll tell you why, because there's some good news coming out. All right. Kamala Harris just dropped her first presidential campaign ad. And I got to say, it's fire. It got a lot of love, a lot of support, a lot of reposts. It even got a cosign from the queen herself. And I'm not talking about Elizabeth. I'm talking about Queen B, the only queen that we acknowledge. So without further ado, let me show you the vice president's presidential campaign ad. Check this out, y'all. By the way, I think you're going to like it. I think it's solid. And again, I'm not endorsing Kamala Harris. I'm saying this video is nice. I'm not dissing Kamala Harris either. I'm just saying the video is nice. Check this video out. I think you're gonna like it. She posted it to YouTube, y'all. I didn't bootleg it. Check this out.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom. Freedom not just to get by, but get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions about your own body. We choose a future where no child lives in poverty, where we can all afford health care, where no one is above the law. We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win. So join us. Go to KamalaHarris.com and let's get to work.
I'ma keep on running because the winner don't quit on themselves.
What y'all think? By the way, drop your info in the let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. Is this a good campaign ad? Is it effective? Is it evocative? I think, without exaggeration, that might be the best presidential campaign ad I have ever seen. It is incredibly powerful. It is incredibly compelling. It's visually stunning. The music, of course, is great. You got Beyonce in the joint. I mean, that's hard to do. She's not the best reader. That's just my own technical host anchor thing. Like, she's not the best reader. There was a lack of passion and emotion in the reading. I'm not saying she had to be dramatic. I'm just saying it felt on it. Her voice and energy didn't match the rest of the commercial. But that's a minor thing, and I don't think the people are going to care about that. They're going to see that thing and they're going to be energized. When you look at the ad, it was multicultural, it was diverse, it was interesting. It still took a swipe at Trump subtly, then in some more explicit ways with the images of him kind of demonizing him. I thought it's an incredibly good ad, and they got that thing out quick. So I'm excited. I mean, you got Beyonce's hit "Freedom." You got the mugshot of Donald Trump front and center, and I don't know what else you can do. She kind of paints the Trump world as chaotic and scary and hateful. Trump and Vance. And then she articulates her own vision: gun violence, tackling it, affordable health care, fighting for it. Her message is clear. She says, I believe in the promise of America and I am ready to fight for it. She says she's ready to debate Trump. She says she's ready to get busy. I think that's as good as you're going to get from a campaign ad. And her launch this week has been as exciting as any launch we've seen in a long time. She got Black Greek letter organizations. She got Black people on call, Black men on calls, Black women on calls. White women had a call tonight. Shout out to the white women who had that call. Let me know what's going on and let me know what y'all let me know what y'all talked about for Kamala. Now, I need to be very clear. Me saying that her ads are great and the energy is great is not me endorsing Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris also has a lot of explaining to do about her stance on policing. She has a lot to say, to tell us about her stance on reparations. And she has a lot of explaining to do about today's speech. I'm going to do a whole separate thing on the speech later. So that's why we're not going to talk about it right at this moment. But let's be very clear. Earlier today when she was kind of condemning and chastising folk for their protests, she didn't say anything wrong, right? Like, you shouldn't be supporting terrorism. You shouldn't be supporting anti-Semitism. But there's a way that a whole lot of righteous principle resistance got lumped in to either a straw man or a very tiny, almost infinitesimal minority of people who were doing the things that she was criticizing in her press release. It felt like she was signaling to the world that she's still on the same train and track as Joe Biden. But in the speech itself, it's one. What I can tell you is that Kamala Harris seems to be willing to say the names of Palestinians a little bit more generously. That she seems to be willing to say that what's happening in Gaza is not okay. She seems to be willing to say she wants a ceasefire. Now, Biden will say, well, I've been saying that forever. Well, both of y'all be testing the water and playing politics with this stuff. Saying you want a ceasefire is fine. Kamala Harris was the first person out of the White House to say she wanted a ceasefire, but she also was talking about the kind of ceasefire that happens when you take a week off or 2 days off or 3 days off, maybe a week, maybe a month. But like, a temporary ceasefire is not a ceasefire. It's just allowing Israel to retool. It's allowing Hamas even to retool. It doesn't produce the outcomes that you want. So all this to say, if you're voting for Kamala Harris, be eyes wide open about it. You're probably, if you're on the left, you're doing it because you might like her. You're doing it because you appreciate her liberal policies. And you might think she's not left-wing enough for you, but you're going to do everything you can, tooth and nail, to fight to make sure that Donald Trump does not become the next president of the United States. That is a good enough reason. But what I won't allow you to do, what I won't allow anybody to do, not in this space and not in front of me, is pretend that somehow she's more progressive than she is, more radical than she is. I had people all week trying to tell me that Vice President Harris is super progressive on Palestine. She was just kind of doing what Joe Biden wanted done. Like, nah, bro, I know her history. I know her ideology. She was very clear about it on the campaign trail when she ran into 2020. So again, it's okay to make a decision about Kamala Harris, but don't do you know what and tell me it's raining. Let's have an honest conversation about who Kamala Harris is. And let's have an honest conversation about who Kamala Harris is not. And then let's have a pragmatic and earnest and transparent conversation about what we're going to do about that.